The planet was silent, dry and forgotten. Ruins of old towers stood like broken bones under a purple sky. No birds flew, no wind blew, no life moved. Only one being remained, a tall alien woman named Xylia. She stood guard beside a smooth, black structure buried halfway in the earth. It pulsed slowly like it was breathing. That was the orifice of Vena. It had stayed closed for over 400 years. Xylia was not young, though her kind aged slowly. She had guarded the orifice for nearly 100 years. She never left the chamber, never spoke to anyone. She had one mission: protect the relic. Many had tried to open it in the past. Warriors, machines, scholars, priests, all had failed. The seal was perfect, unbreakable. It didn't respond to touch, fire, or science. But Xylia believed. One day it would open, for the right one. Then one day something unexpected happened. A loud rumble broke the quiet. Xylia looked up at the sky and saw a Terran salvage ship fall from orbit. The ship screamed through the air like a dying animal and crashed in the nearby canyon. Fire burst from its engines. Smoke rose like fingers reaching the stars. Xylia didn't move. She waited. Hours later, she heard footsteps. A human man walked into the ruins, coughing and limping. His name was Cole Maddox, an engineer from Earth. He was trying to find metal and fuel to repair his ship. But as he wandered deeper into the ruins, something pulled him toward the chamber. A low hum vibrated in his bones. It was the Relic, calling him. Cole stepped into the hidden chamber and froze. His eyes met Xylia's. She stood still, tall, silent, glowing slightly in the dim blue light. He raised his hand slowly. "I'm not here to fight," he said. Xylia's voice was cold. "Leave this place, Terran. It is not for you." But the Relic hummed louder as Cole stepped closer. He looked at it, smooth, black with lines like veins across its surface. It pulsed faster now, as if it recognized him. Xylia's eyes widened. "It's reacting to you," she whispered, almost afraid. No one has made it move." Cole reached out a hand slowly. Carefully, Xylia shouted, "Don't!" But the moment his fingers touched the Relic, a sound clicked. A soft, mechanical hiss filled the chamber. Lights danced across the orifices. Surface golden and green. Cole stepped back, stunned. "What did I do?" Xylia stared at the Relic, then at Cole. "You moved it," she said in disbelief. The seal had shifted, only slightly, but it had never done that before. Cole looked at her. "What is this thing?" Xylia took a deep breath. "It is called the Orifice of Vena, a relic from before the wars. It was built to contain something important." Cole studied the Relic, walking slowly around it. "It feels alive," he whispered. Xylia nodded. "It is not just a machine, it is organic, ancient, older than memory." He looked at her. "And it reacted to me, not you." Xylia's eyes dropped. "I have guarded it for decades. I have bled trying to open it, but it never moved, not even once." Cole placed his hand on it again. This time the Relic glowed softly and emitted a warm vibration like a purring cat. Xylia's knees felt weak. This was the sign she had waited for her entire life. Tears filled her eyes, but she wiped them away, hiding her emotions. "You must leave," she said quickly, turning her back. Cole frowned. "Why? I can help." Xylia shook her head. "Help is dangerous. If it chose you, you will suffer this Relic. It does not open without cost." But Cole didn't leave. He sat near the Relic, studying its surface. He took out a small scanner from his belt and tried to understand the patterns. Xylia watched him from the shadows, her heart full of fear and curiosity. Could this human really be the one? Night fell over the dead planet, but the chamber was full of light. Soft pulses came from the Relic every few seconds. It was awake now, because of the human. Xylia stood silently near the doorway. She whispered to herself, "After all these Years. It begins. And somewhere inside the sealed relic something ancient moved. A faint heartbeat echoed, waiting. The orifice was no longer silent, and the human had touched what no other could. Cole didn't sleep that night. He sat, near the relic, staring at it as it softly pulsed. Its glow reminded him of a sleeping heartbeat, warm and steady. He didn't understand what it was, not really. But something about it felt alive, like it had been waiting for him. Jelia sat across from him, silent, unmoving. Her tall form leaned against the cold stone wall, arms crossed, eyes never blinking. She didn't trust the human, not yet. But deep down, something inside her had changed. For decades, she had watched this relic in silence. Now, in one moment, a human had made it react. Cole looked at her and asked softly, "Has anyone else ever come this close to opening it?" Zalia didn't answer at first. Then she said, "Many have tried, scientists, warriors, even priests who believed they were chosen. They brought tools, prayers, even blood, but it stayed silent." Cole frowned. "Then why me?" Zalia looked away. "I don't know, and that frightens me." He approached the relic again, holding his hand just an inch away from its surface. It hummed louder, like it recognized him. He pressed his fingers gently against the shell. A sudden warmth rushed up his arm, making him gasp. The relic responded. It shifted again, opening another small crack. Golden light leaked through like morning sun through curtains. Zalia stood up quickly. "Stop, human." Cole stepped back. "What's inside?" She didn't move closer, but her voice softened. "There's a second seal, one no hand has ever reached. They say only one with a pure spirit and unknown blood can open it. The orifice is not just a lock, it's a test." Cole looked back at the glowing crack. "I don't understand. What's it testing?" Zalia walked closer, her eyes sad. "It searches the soul," she said, "and demands pain, truth, and something deeper than logic." He touched it again, this time placing his full palm on the surface. A spark of energy pulsed under his skin. Suddenly, his vision blurred. He wasn't in the chamber anymore. He saw fire, shadows, giant machines tearing apart cities. He saw children screaming, aliens running, skies falling. He saw a young girl crying inside a crystal shell, reaching toward him. "Help me," the voice whispered, faint and small. "I'm still here." Then, Cole stumbled back, gasping for breath. Zalia caught him, her hand surprisingly warm. "What? Did you see?" she asked quickly. He looked at her with wide eyes. "A child, trapped inside." She called for help. Zalia froze, her body stiff. "A child?" she whispered. "That's impossible. The chamber was sealed during the war." She turned toward the relic, her voice low. "They said something, or someone was hidden here." Cole looked at his hand. It still glowed slightly. "The seal doesn't just need a touch," he said. "It needs someone to feel her." Zalia was silent, but her expression cracked, grief in her eyes. "You said her," she whispered. "You saw a girl?" Cole nodded. "She looked young, scared, alone." Zalia's voice broke. "Then the legends are true." She sat down slowly, trembling. "There was a prophecy that one of the last children of the Empire was hidden here. To protect her from the genocide." Cole's mind raced. "Why didn't you tell me?" Zalia looked at him. "Because no one believed it anymore, not even me. I was told to guard it, not to question." He turned toward the relic again. "What if she's still alive in there?" Zalia whispered. "Then time itself has been kind to her. But cruel to the rest of us." Cole stepped forward. "I want to try again." Zalia grabbed his arm. "It could hurt you." He looked into her eyes. "So what? She's calling to me, not you. She needs someone." Zalia let go slowly, her hands shaking. He placed both hands on the orifice, now glowing with life. A quiet chime echoed through the chamber, like a lullaby. The light grew brighter, and the second seal appeared, a glowing circular crest like a sun. Cole felt something press into his mind, a voice not his own. "Will you open your heart?" it asked. He didn't answer with words. He just let the warmth spread. The crest accepted him. Another hiss of air came from the relic, and the second seal shifted. Zalia fell to her knees, tears spilling down her cheeks. By the stars. He's really doing it. Inside the relic, something moved. Soft light swirled like fog. A shape began to appear behind the translucent layer. Cole leaned closer. Breath caught. Zalia whispered, "If she lives, she will be the last of her." Bloodline. Cole touched the seal once more, and the voice whispered again, "You are the key, because you are human." The air inside the chamber felt heavier now. The relic no longer looked like a dead shell, it was awake. The golden crest in the center slowly turned, revealing a soft glow behind a thin layer of crystal. Cole stepped forward, heart pounding. He could see a small figure inside, curled in a fetal position, floating in light. She looked peaceful, like she was sleeping. Zalia stood beside him, silent, her body tense. "That's her," she said in a soft, trembling voice. "My people called her Sayalari, the Soulborn. The last voice of our kind." Cole looked at her, surprised. "You knew her?" Zalia nodded slowly. "She was just a child when the war began. The Empire placed her in stasis, sealed the chamber, and said no one could open it. Only someone not of our world." Cole turned to the relic. "So they were waiting for a human?" Zalia shook her head. They didn't know what they were waiting for. They only knew it had to be someone with a different soul. Cole placed his hand against the seal. It felt warmer now, almost like skin. As his fingers touched it, a voice echoed again inside his head. "I'm still here," the voice whispered. "But I'm afraid." The relic flashed, softly, and a circle of light spread under Cole's feet. Zalia gasped. "It's begun." "What has?" Cole asked, unsure. "The trial of blood and touch," she said, stepping back. "The final test." Suddenly pain surged through Cole's arm, sharp and hot. He screamed and fell to his knees. The relic was glowing brighter, and thin lines of red light crawled up his skin like veins. Zalia ran to him, but she could not enter the glowing circle. Her hand hit an invisible wall. "It's testing you," she cried. "Don't fight it. Feel it." Cole gritted his teeth, sweat running down his face. Inside his mind, visions burst. He saw a planet burning, children hiding in underground chambers, mothers crying, warriors falling. He saw Sayalari. Reaching out through the fire, he reached back, but she pulled away, frightened. "You're not one of us," her voice echoed. "Why do you care?" Cole clenched his fists. "Because no one should be alone." The relic pulsed harder, and blood ran down from his fingertips, but instead of dripping to the ground, the blood was absorbed by the relic. Zalia watched, tears in her eyes. "It's accepting his pain," she whispered. "He's giving part of himself." The glowing crest opened like a flower, revealing a second layer, a soft membrane. It looked alive, and it pulsed with a slow rhythm. Cole touched it with trembling hands. It was warm and wet, like touching the inside of a living being. The membrane moved under his touch, responding. Then it wrapped around his hand, gently pulling him forward. Cole didn't resist. He let it pull his arm in halfway, until his hand touched something cold and smooth inside. A small hand. It was Sayalari's, still locked in stasis but aware. Her tiny fingers wrapped around his, and everything went still. The pain vanished. The light dimmed. And Cole was standing. Inside a memory he saw Zalia, but younger, smiling, holding Sayalari's hand. He saw their mother, tall and proud, placing a crystal necklace around the child's neck. He saw the day they were separated. Soldiers running, alarms blaring, and the relic closing forever. Sayalari had cried as the seal shut, calling Zalia's name. Zalia had screamed, banging on the door until her hands bled. Cole returned to the present with tears in his eyes. The relic unwrapped from his arm slowly. The glowing seal faded, and a soft hiss filled the air. The crystal casing around Sayalari began to crack. Xylia gasped and fell to her knees. It's happening. Cole stood, shaky but alive. He walked back as the casing broke open, and Sayalari slowly floated down, cradled by light. Her eyes opened, bright and silver, and locked onto Cole. Her voice echoed in the chamber, small and clear. You opened the door, she said. Cole smiled weakly. Yeah, I guess I did. Celia rushed forward, but Sayalari leaned closer to Cole instead. Her small fingers touched his face. You're not like them, she whispered. You feel everything. Celia stood behind her, stunned. She doesn't remember me, she said softly. Cole looked at her, then at Sayalari. She's scared, he said. She's been trapped for centuries. Give her time. Sayalari turned to Xaelia and tilted her head. I know your voice, she said, slowly. I dreamt of you. Xaelia fell to her knees, weeping. Sayalari, it's me, your sister. Sayalari smiled gently. Then we're not alone anymore. The relic behind them grew dim, its purpose complete. The trial was over, but a greater journey was just beginning. Cole didn't know what came next, but he knew one thing. He wasn't just the one who opened the chamber, he was the one who connected their hearts. The air inside the chamber was quiet, but it wasn't empty anymore. Sayalari stood barefoot, her long silver hair floating like silk around her small shoulders. She looked young, maybe 10 or 11 in human age, but her eyes held deep wisdom. She blinked slowly, taking in the soft lights, the scent of the room, and the two people watching her closely. Cole knelt beside her, still trying to catch his breath. His arm was marked with faint red lines, reminders of the trial he had just endured. Celia stood silently, tears drying on her face. She didn't know what to say. This moment, this reunion, was one she had dreamed of for 100 years, and now that it was here, she felt like a stranger. Sayalari's gaze drifted between them, her lips parting slowly. I know your heart, she whispered to Cole. You're the one who touched my dreams. Cole looked surprised. You saw me. The little girl nodded. I was in darkness, but sometimes light came. Your light. Celia stepped forward, hands trembling. Do you remember me, little star? She asked softly. Sayalari tilted her head, then stepped closer. She stared into Xaelia's eyes for a long moment, then reached out and placed a hand on her chest. I remember your voice, she said. You used to sing. Xaelia fell too, her knees hugging the child gently, tears returning to her eyes. Yes, I did, she whispered. And I never stopped singing for you. The relic pulsed behind them, softer now, like it was breathing slowly. Its glow faded bit by bit. Its work done, Cole stood and watched the two sisters quietly. He could feel something, ancient, sacred, moving in the air. After some time, Sayalari turned toward the relic again. I wasn't the only one inside, she said quietly. Xaelia stood quickly, her eyes wide. What do you mean? Sayalari placed her small palm on the crystal floor. There were others once, she said. Voices, echoes, but they faded. I think I'm the last. Xelia's breath caught. She had hoped. Maybe there were more survivors. More sealed away like Sayalari. But no. It seemed this was it. The last light of the ancient empire now stood in the form of a fragile girl. Cole spoke gently. Do you remember anything else? Sayalari nodded slowly. They called me the Soulborn, she said, not because of power, but because I could hear the dying. Cole looked confused. The dying? Xaelia explained. During the war, our people created special children, genetically gifted. Sayalari was the only one who could absorb memories of the fallen. She carried our history in her mind. Sayalari stepped toward Cole, reaching up and touching his forehead. Do you want to see? She asked. Before he could answer, a rush of images flooded his mind. He saw ships burning in space, cities crumbling under fire, alien soldiers yelling in terror. He saw Xaelia's younger self, sword in hand, defending a group of children. And then, the ceiling of the relic, Sayalari was placed inside, her body wrapped in light, her mind linked to the past. The memory faded, and Cole stumbled back, gasping. That was too much. Sayalari looked sad. I carry them all, she whispered. And sometimes I forget who I am. Zalia embraced her again, holding her close. You are Sayalari, my sister, my family. No matter what you carry. The chamber began to shake slightly, a low rumble coming from deep underground. Cole looked around. What now? Zalia's expression changed. Oh no, she whispered. The signal. What signal? Zalia turned toward him, eyes filled with panic. The relic. It wasn't just sealed for protection. It was also a beacon. When it opens, it sends a signal into deep space. Cole's heart sank. To who? Zalia's voice turned dark. To those who tried to erase us. The ones who feared what Sayalari was. Just then, a deep tone echoed across the chamber. A warning pulse. Cole rushed to the relic's edge, checking his scanner. Something. Just activated in orbit, he said. A ship? No, multiple. Zalia turned to Sayalari, lifting her into her arms. We have to move. Cole nodded, grabbing his pack. Where do we go? Zalia pointed toward a hidden tunnel near the far wall. There's a hidden transport dock below the ruins, she said, built for emergencies. They ran into the tunnel, the sounds of the chamber fading behind them. But as they moved, Sayalari looked back once. The relic pulsed one final time, and in her mind she heard a whisper from the past. Run, little star, and shine again. They ran through the ancient tunnel. Dust fell from the cracked ceiling with every step. The relic chamber behind them was fading, but its warning still echoed in Cole's chest. Sayalari clung to Zalia's shoulder, her tiny arms wrapped tightly, her silver eyes wide with fear. Cole stayed close, his hand never leaving the scanner strapped to his wrist. He could see the signal clearly now. Multiple ships, all approaching fast. They're not just scanning, he said, breathing hard. They're coming to destroy something. Zalia didn't slow. They've been waiting for centuries to finish the job. And now they know the child lives. The tunnel ended at a sealed platform covered in moss and broken metal. Zalia slammed her hand on a rusted panel, and the floor rumbled. An ancient elevator dropped down, glowing faintly. As they stepped on, Sayalari looked up at Cole and asked, Will you protect us? Cole looked into her small glowing eyes and nodded. I'll do everything I can. And for some reason her eyes shimmered like she believed him more than anyone else in the galaxy. The elevator took them to a hidden dock far below the surface. Old ships half buried in sand and stone waited like forgotten skeletons. Zalia ran toward one, sleek, silver, and clearly from a lost era. Can it fly? Cole asked. If you can fix it, she replied, tossing him a small toolkit. It hasn't been touched in over 90 years. Cole got to work fast, hands moving like lightning. He loved machines. They made more sense than people, but as he worked, he couldn't help glancing at Sayalari. She sat quietly beside the old ramp, drawing circles in the dust. Zalia stood nearby, always watching, always guarding. Cole paused, wiping sweat from his brow. You really care about her, he said to Zalia. She's all I have left, she replied softly. She's not just my sister. She's the last proof that we were once alive. Suddenly, a soft voice interrupted them. I can help, Sayalari said, walking toward the ship. Cole looked confused. Help how? The child touched the outer hull and the ship hummed. Its lights flickered on, engine core glowing faintly. Zalia gasped. She remembers its song. Sayalari looked up at Cole. I carry the codes, she said. All the old ones. I heard them while I slept. The ship came alive under her touch. The engines roared softly, not loud but ready. Cole stepped inside the cockpit, checking systems. Still needs adjustment, he muttered. But she's waking up. As they prepared for launch, alarms blared on Cole's scanner. Incoming, he shouted. 2 war drones approaching fast. Zalia drew a long blade from her side. curved and glowing. They found us. They rushed onto the ship. Cole lifting off seconds before the first blast hit the dock. Stone shattered behind them. The A tunnel collapsed. The ship soared into the sky, weaving through broken towers, but the drones were fast. They fired bolts of plasma, shaking the ship violently. Cole growled, "This thing isn't made for combat." Zalia stood behind him, steady. "Fly and let me handle the rest." She opened the side hatch and leapt out, onto the outer hull of the ship. The wind roared, but she stood like a statue, sword glowing in both hands. As the first drone came close, she jumped, slicing through its wing. It exploded in the air behind her. Cole turned sharply, avoiding the second drone's attack. Zalia landed hard on the hull again. Breathing heavy, the second drone came from above, ready to fire. But suddenly Sayalari screamed, her voice sharp and full of power. A pulse of light burst from her tiny body. The ship's systems overloaded briefly, and the second drone's systems glitched. It spun out of control and crashed into a cliff wall. Everything went quiet. Cole slowed the ship, hands shaking on the controls. Zalia climbed back inside, her arms bruised but eyes full of fire. And Sayalari stood quietly, her hands glowing. Faintly, Cole turned to her, amazed. "How did you do that?" Sayalari looked down. "I don't know," she whispered. "But I think I've always had it." Zalia stared at her, eyes filled with wonder and fear. "She's awakening," she said slowly. "Whatever they sealed inside her, it's starting to rise." Cole gently knelt in front of the girl. "You saved us," he said. "You saved me," Sayalari smiled shyly. "Then I guess we're even." The ship flew on, far from the ruins now, but no one spoke for a while. They all felt the same thing in their hearts. The bond between them was no longer just survival. Cole was not just a stranger who opened a relic. He was now something more. To Zalia, he was a protector. To Sayalari, he was home. And though they had escaped the ruins, the true danger was still out there, watching, waiting, ready to silence the child once and for all. But they would face it, together, because the bond between them was no accident. The ship glided through the dark sky. Clouds rolled over the broken land like waves. Cole kept both hands tight on the controls, scanning for anything that moved. Zalia stood behind him, arms crossed, her long braid swinging. With the sway of the ship, Sayalari sat quietly in the corner, her knees pulled to her chest. Eyes staring out the window, no one spoke. They all knew something was coming. The signal from the relic had gone out like a flare into deep space, and the wrong eyes had seen it. Cole broke the silence. "We need somewhere safe to land." Zalia shook her head slowly. "There is no safe," she whispered, "not anymore. The past is hunting us." Suddenly, a red light blinked on the console. Cole's eyes widened. "We're being tracked." He pulled the ship lower, ducking beneath a mountain ridge, but it was too late. From above, the sky lit up with blue light. A massive ship, sleek, black, silent, appeared from the clouds. Its engines made no sound, but its presence made the air feel cold. Cole cursed under his breath. "That's no drone." Zalia's face turned pale. "No," she said. "That's a spectral class hunter, one of theirs." Lasers fired suddenly, cutting through rock below them. Cole swerved hard, the ship shaking as the engine sputtered. They had been hit. "We can't outrun it." Cole shouted. Zalia grabbed a harness and looked him in the eye. "Then we fight." "But we're in a transport vessel," he replied. "Then we crash it into them," she said without blinking. Sayalari suddenly stood, her voice calm. "Don't," she said. "There's another way." Both Cole and Zalia turned toward her. Sayalari raised her small hand and touched the control panel. The ship responded. Lighting up in gold, energy surged through the walls, humming softly. "What is she doing?" Cole whispered. Zalia stepped back, shocked. "She's awakening the ship's old tech hidden under its skin." "Only a soulborn can do that." Sayalari whispered a word in her ancient tongue, and the ship responded. Its metal shimmered, shifting, changing form. Old weapons, sealed for centuries, unfolded from the sides. Blasters hummed, shields powered up, and the hull turned darker, harder. Cole grinned. Okay, kid, now you're just showing off. The spectral hunter ship above reacted, sending smaller fighters toward them. Cole took the controls again. I'll fly, you shoot, he said. Zalia stood at the weapon station, her hands steady. The battle began. Red and blue fire filled the air. Cole spun the ship through the sky, dodging missiles, diving between mountain peaks. Zalia targeted the fighters one by one, blasting them out of the air. But the spectral hunter was massive, and it wasn't. Alone, more ships appeared in the sky. 3, 5, 7. Cole's heart pounded. We're surrounded. We can't win this, Zalia growled. They didn't come to chase us. They came to end her. Sailari walked slowly toward them, her feet steady. I can stop them, she whispered. But I need your trust. Cole looked at her, his voice trembling. What do you mean? I can reach their minds, she said. I can show them the truth. But I have to connect fully. Zalia shook her head, stepping between them. No, it's too dangerous. If you reach out, they might take you. Cole knelt down, meeting Sailari's eyes. Are you sure you want to do this? Sailari nodded. If I don't, more people will die. They're still afraid of what I could become. But I don't want to become anything, she said, voice soft. I just want to be me. She placed both hands on the glowing floor. The ship responded, a soft hum filling the space. The lights dimmed, and a white aura surrounded Sailari's body. Her eyes turned silver blue, and a pulse of energy burst out from her chest. In space, the approaching enemy ships paused. Their systems flickered, their weapons powered down for just a moment. Inside each enemy mind, they saw her. Not a weapon, not a threat. Just a child, crying and begging to be left alone. Some captains hesitated, but not all. One flagship powered up its main cannon again. Zalia screamed, "They're still firing!" Cole turned the ship sharply, trying to escape. But they were too close. The cannon fired. And then, something impossible happened. Sailari caught the blast. Her small body stood in front of the ship's main window, arms outstretched. The beam hit her, but instead of burning her, it slowed, bent and broke apart into light. The energy shattered into dust and fell like snow. Everyone stood frozen, even Zalia could barely breathe. You stopped a direct cannon, she whispered. Sailari turned slowly, her expression calm but distant. I didn't stop it, she said softly. I gave it back to the stars. The enemy ships began to retreat, not out of fear, but respect. They had seen something beyond power, they had seen grace. Cole slowly exhaled. Zalia held Sailari close, and in that moment, they knew the war wasn't over, but something had changed. For the first time, the past had failed to destroy her, and now, the future was hers to shape. The ship floated in the quiet sky. Clouds moved slowly below. Mountains drifted by like waves. The enemy ships were gone. The battle was over, but none of them felt like celebrating. Inside the cockpit, Sailari sat curled up in Zalia's arms. Her eyes were closed, her face pale, her breathing soft but shallow. The glow that had surrounded her had faded. She had used too much, and now her small body trembled with each breath. Cole sat across from them, arms resting on his knees. He stared at the floor, silent, heart heavy. He had seen power before, seen weapons that could crack moons, but this was different. Sailari wasn't a weapon. She was a child, a living memory, a symbol of a people almost forgotten, and she had risked everything to protect them. Zalia stroked Sailari's hair gently. She's stable, she whispered, but weak. She gave more than she should have. Cole nodded slowly. Because I asked her to trust me. She believed in me. Zalia looked up at him, her voice soft but serious. She didn't. Just believe in you, she said. She bonded to you. She chose you. Cole met her eyes, confused. What does that mean? Zalia shifted slightly, holding Sailari closer. In our old traditions, the Soulborn were never alone. They needed a guardian, someone who didn't just protect their body, but their spirit, someone who could carry the weight with them. Cole blinked. You think That's me? Zalia nodded once. You opened the relic. You endured the trial. You heard her voice before she woke. She doesn't see you as a stranger. She sees you as family. Cole looked at Sailari again. Her fingers twitched, slightly like she was dreaming. I didn't plan for this, he said quietly. I came here by accident. Zalia gave a small smile. There are no accidents in the old stories, only hidden paths. Hours passed. They found a quiet valley between two cliffs and landed the ship. The engines powered down with a soft sigh. Birds flew overhead and a small stream sparkled nearby. It was the first peaceful place they had seen in days. Cole gathered wood for a fire. Zaelia built a small shelter using old camouflage sheets. From the ship's cargo together, they worked in silence. It didn't feel awkward. It felt like a beginning. As the fire crackled that night, Sailari finally opened her eyes. She blinked, sat up slowly, and looked around. Then she saw Cole and smiled gently. You stayed? She whispered. Cole chuckled. I wasn't going to leave you. Sailari reached for his hand and held it tightly. You're warm, she said. Like I remembered. Celia sat beside them, watching quietly. She had fought battles for centuries, lost friends, lost hope. But here, by the fire, with her sister alive and this human beside them, she felt something strange. Peace. Sailari looked at the stars. Above, I dreamed of a world where no one had to hide, where relics weren't cages, where memories didn't hurt. Cole squeezed her hand. Then we'll build that world. She looked at him, her silver blue eyes glowing faintly in the firelight. But I can't do it alone. You'll help me? Cole smiled. You already know the answer, Celia added softly. We'll help you shape something better. Not for the Empire, but for those who never had a chance. Morning came. They buried the last remains of their old weapons and burned the broken armor. They weren't soldiers anymore. They were something else now. Keepers of a truth, guardians of something deeper than war. News of Sailari's awakening began to spread across space. Some feared her return. Others whispered her name like a song. But no matter what the stars said, one fact remained unchanged. A human had opened the relic. A human had reached her. Not because of strength, not because of power, but because of heart. Cole was never meant to be a hero. He didn't carry a sword or command an army. He simply listened. He cared. And in a universe full of fear and fire, that made all the difference. Zaelia carved a small stone marker near the stream. It read, Here the past ended and something new began. As the three of them stood together, wind brushing through the valley, Cole looked at Sailari and asked, What now? Sailari looked up at him and whispered, We write a new story, and this time no one would seal it away. Not behind relics, not behind war. It would live. Through them, through kindness, through one human who dared to open more than a chamber. He opened everything,